Today is Holy Tuesday. This was the day when Jesus went into the temple in Jerusalem. When he entered into the temple, he looked around and he was greatly displeased. He approached the table where money was being exchanged and flipped it over. He went to the table where birds were being sold for sacrifice and flipped it over. Table after table, he flipped over and he told the people, "Get out, get out, out." He chased those at the tables out of the temple and he began to explain. He said, "This house is my house, and it is a house of prayer." When he made this comment that the temple was my house, his house, he was telling the people that he was God. That is something that we need to consider, that he proclaimed that the temple was his house. The sacrifices that were being made were for him. This was the time during the Passover. So there were millions of people who had gathered together in Jerusalem. They had came to the temple to buy sacrifices. Many of them had traveled from far away. So they would buy sacrifices there at the temple. But it was an evil system. What was happening is people would line up and they would approach a table and say, "I would like to buy a lamb for the sacrifice." They would pay their money and receive a lamb and then walk to the area where they would hand the lamb off to say, "I want to sacrifice this lamb as an offering." But what would happen is the lamb would be taken to a back room and it was not killed. It would be tied and left, but they would take blood that was already there and take it out to the person and say, "Here's the blood from your lamb. You can sacrifice it." And so the people thought that they were offering an honest sacrifice to God. Someone would take the lamb and then resell it. So the same lamb would be sold many, many times, but never be sacrificed. That's just an example of just the dishonesty and the evil system that was going on in the temple. And Jesus didn't like it. They were taking advantage of the people. They were robbing the people. But Jesus cleansed the temple and he told them, he said, "This is my house, a house of prayer, and you have turned it into a den of robbers." You have allowed sin to enter into the temple. This is unacceptable. So Jesus put a stop to it. That whole system of dishonesty and cheating the people, he ended it and he kicked them out and announced to all the people there, "Look at me. I am the Lamb of God. I am the sacrificial lamb, the true sacrifice, the Lamb of God. You don't need these things anymore."